Hey everyone, it's Rachel from Sugar Maple Farmhouse, and today we're going to make pesto alla Trapanese. So, pesto alla Trapanese is also called Sicilian pesto. It is a red pesto, and it's made mostly with cherry tomatoes and almonds. That sets it apart from the green basil pesto that most people are familiar with. However, this pesto is just as incredible. I love it so much. The first time we had this, both Kevin and I were just completely blown away. And if you are a person that likes just a little bit of spice in your food, this pesto brings a little bit of heat along with it too. Let's get started. So the traditional way of making this dish is with a mortar. However, mine is really small. So I decided to go a non-traditional way and a way that a lot of people do it too by using a small food processor. We're going to make everything pretty much in this today with the exception of our pasta. The first thing we want to do is add cherry tomatoes. So in the US, you cannot actually find the tomato that they use when they make this pesto, but the cherry tomatoes work just as well. I actually have the full name of the tomato if you want to see what it is on the website, and I will leave a link in the description below to the recipe on the website. So if you guys want more details, you can go there and grab that. Next, we are going to add garlic. And I will do this kind of in parts because you can see that my food processor is a little small. If yours is small, go ahead and do this in parts also. Next, we're going to add extra virgin olive oil. And for a recipe like this that's more authentic, you want to make sure you find the best quality extra virgin olive oil you can find. Then we are going to add red pepper flakes. So in the traditional portion of this recipe, the red pepper is brought by a fresh red pepper. However, I looked all over and I could not find any. I went to 4 different grocery stores and I couldn't find a red chili pepper. So I'm going to use dried red pepper. You can definitely do this too. I'm going to use about 1/4 of a teaspoon. I have made this with 1/2 of a teaspoon, and for Kevin that was just a little too much spice. So I'm going to go with 1/4 of a teaspoon today and pop that in. Then I'm going to add some salt, and I'm going to start with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt too. And before I add the next ingredient, which is the almonds, I'm going to toast them. So I'm going to pop these in the broiler for about 2 to 3 minutes. The optimal time is really about 2.5 minutes. Make sure you don't go over 3 because I think they will get too dark. You just want them a little bit toasted so they have a little bit of that kind of roasted flavor with them. Okay, while those are in the broiler, I'm going to go ahead and finish up my cheese. This is a Pecorino Romano cheese. If you can't find this for some reason, you can also use Parmesan. And I think that looks like enough. I'm also just going to blend this up so I can move everything down and make room for my other ingredients. Now, when making this pesto, because it's usually made with the mortar, I don't like to just blend. I like to kind of chop with the food processor, so it comes out a little more chunky than maybe a traditional pesto that you might be used to. All right, so these are now nice and toasty, and I'm just going to sit them on the counter here. And give them a minute so that I can touch them and then add them to our pesto. Okay, now that those are done, let's go ahead and start adding some of the other ingredients. So this pesto does include basil. It's just not the main component. And it's going to be about a cup of packed basil. Washed this earlier and it's fresh from the garden. I love this time of year. Okay, to me this is nice and packed, so I'm going to add this in now. And because our food processor is small, again, I'm going to just pulse this in between adding some of the other ingredients. Right, there we go. And now let's add the cheese. So for the pecorino, we are going to add about we're going to add 2/3 a cup. This cheese, if you have never had it before, it is so good. It's so like milky and salty and just really, really delicious. Sorry, y'all, that was my dishwasher beeping back there. Okay, let's blend again. Beautiful. And let's see how we got. Let's see here. I think I'll be safe. And I'm going to add all of these in. This was about 2/3 a cup too. And they're still a little nice and toasty. And there's my cup. Let's blend it. This is looking good, so I'm going to give it a little taste. I'm going to blend it just a little more. And I'm going to add the rest of my salt. And just a bit of pepper too. You always want to season to taste. You don't ever know, especially in a recipe like this where you're doing things like packed basil and a pint and a half of tomatoes. You don't want to just follow it exactly. You want to make sure it's tasting like you want it to taste. And if you want more or less salt or more pepper, go ahead and add that. I always like to err on the side of caution first because, you know, you can't take something out once you've put it in there. But go little by little until you get to a taste that you really enjoy. I do think I'm going to add the rest of that red pepper because for me, this is just kind of missing the cool flavor from the heat that you got before. So good. So good. Kevin will be fine too with the spice. He loved this last time. In fact, when I talked to him about what recipe I was going to make today, he picked this one. So must have not been too spicy for him. All right, this is essentially done. So I'm going to put this in a bowl. I've got my pot boiling, my salted water boiling back there on the stove. It's close to boiling anyways. And I'm going to start the noodles in just a minute. So let's get this into the bowl. You guys can see kind of how chunky I left that. I really love it this way. It tastes amazing on pasta. And you could even save this and then put it on bread, serve it with some really delicious crusty bread too. Okay, so the pasta I'm going to use for this, I actually found online. We don't have a lot of different places where we can get authentic Italian pasta here, and I wanted that for this recipe. So we made this, the first time we made it with the Sicilian Pesto, and we loved it so much. It is a drum wheat semolina pasta, so it is made in Italy. I ordered it from Amazon. I will leave a link in the description below for you guys if you want to order this too. This is not sponsored or anything, but we just really enjoyed this, and I'm going to order probably more of their products because it's just so dang good. Now my problem is I'm not going to be able to stop eating this until the pasta is ready. Perfect. So the one thing about this pasta is that it says the cook time is 7 to 8 minutes for al dente. It was a little too al dente for me, so we cooked it about 10 to 12. I feel like 11 was the sweet spot. But again, cook the pasta to your al dente preference. Really quickly, while the pasta is still cooking, sometimes people like to add pasta water to this dish. I did not do that with mine. It is an optional thing if you want to add a little bit of pasta water. On the website, I have the exact amount that you could try adding if you want to smooth out the sauce kind of and make it more of a sauce versus a pesto. However, I love this just the way it is, so we decided not to add it when I originally made this, and then I kept that way. So again, if you want to try it, go for it. I have the directions for doing that on the website, but if you taste it, I think you'll love it just the way it is. While we're waiting for the noodles to finish up, I just wanted to let you guys know too, my recipe book comes out in just over a month. I am so excited about it. It has 60 dinner recipes for you and your family, and I'm going to leave a link to that in the description below. All right, I have a nice bowl of noodles here, and I'm just simply, they're very hot as you can see. I'm just simply going to put the pesto over the top. And then a new fork. And you can mix it in. This is the other reason I tend not to add that pasta water, is these noodles come out with a little water attached to them. So I feel like I don't want to make it too runny. A little more on top here. And just a little more cheese and a bit more of that fresh basil. Let me shoot it about. Doesn't that look amazing? This is really good. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope that you love this recipe for pesto alla Trapanese or Sicilian pesto. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you did love this recipe, I hope you'll subscribe to our channel. I cook, I do DIYs, I garden, and I'd love to have you along for all of that. As always, I will also again leave a full link to the blog post in the description below. So if you want more information or if you just want a nice printable sheet of the recipe, you can go to the blog and grab that there too. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.